Hey guys, Joel Castro coming back with an actual vlog this time instead of a, movie maker video. I'm gonna avoid doing those for a while until I can actually learn to do more stuff with, editing and whatever. So you're not gonna see another one of those videos from me for a while. But with that said, my topic for today's vlog is something that I'm going to be very frank, very brutal, very honest about. This is fan service. Now, fan service. Sorry. Been eating a little ramen lately. Yeah, see that bowl? Delicious, good. Even has hot sauce. Anyway, back on topic. Fan service, for those of you who don't really know what it is, it's when a television series or a video game series or whatever kind of thing becomes so popular that the creators decide, hey, let's throw away all the innovative ideas that's making this thing great and just give everything that made it popular to the masses. In small doses, this is a good idea because you obviously want to get a market for your IP, intellectual property. You want to get a market for these things. You want to get a fan base. You want to make it popular. This is your brainchild. You want it to see the light of day. And so you want to sell a little merchandise here and there. A little maybe a few action figures, some manga if it's a Japanese thing, a few comic strips here and there. But here's the thing. There is such a thing as taking it a little too far. The most prime example I can think of when it comes to fan service would have to be the Mario series. And the insane amount of copy and pasting that they're doing to Mario. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to keep Mario in the mainstream. I'm not saying that. But Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Brothers 2 for the Wii U, that's coming out soon. Am I the only one who thinks that they should just stop with the pandering? I mean, Nintendo, I know that's what you're good at. I know you're good at pandering to your fans. And I respect that because you actually care about your fans. But what happened to the innovation? What happened to all these brilliant ideas that you had between the 80s and 90s? All the way up to the early 2000s. What happened to those? Honestly, I think you're just trying to keep up the popularity of these games by, ramping up the graphics, giving you minigames, whatnot. I don't care. You don't have to continuously do it for an entire generation and start off with that. Not cool, Nintendo. Not cool. What else we got? Oh yeah, Final Fantasy. Another terrific example of fan service. Woo! You already saw my rant on Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy, which is basically fan service for people who only like the music and the characters. That's all it is. But all these sequels to the main series games like Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus and Crisis Core, they were good, but sometimes you gotta know when a story has to end. Especially with Final Fantasy X-2, which was a direct sequel to Final Fantasy X. Now, I'm not going to spoil the end of Final Fantasy X because it's a doozy. but I don't think it was enough to warrant a valid sequel. Unlike Final Fantasy XIII, which actually does kind of warrant a sequel with the way it ended. In some ways. But, you know, Final Fantasy, you're pulling a Nintendo, and you're pulling a Capcom. I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna stop with the innovation. You're gonna bring back all the stuff that made the series popular. You're gonna bring back nice, likable characters. Some emo, and some a little too bubbly. You're gonna try to keep the things that made Final Fantasy popular in the first place in. Not how it works, guys. Not how it works. And that is an example of bad, and I mean bad, fan service. And now, because I'm done ranting about fan service for now, here's a review. Dragon Age Origins. You may have seen my review with Garrett on Dragon Age 2, which, well, not a bad game per se. I still thought it was good. It had a lot of flaws, but overall, I still play it. I still pop it in every once in a while. Now, this is where it all started, Dragon Age Origins. It's basically the spiritual successor to this very old computer game from the late 90s called Baldur's Gate. And it's a spiritual successor to it, and it has a couple references to Baldur's Gate. But the story basically goes like this. There is an invasion coming soon, and it is of these demonic creatures known as the Darkspawn. They're being led by this archdemon, which is basically a god in dragon form, an old god in dragon form. And it is up to this group of warriors called the Grey Wardens to try and stop the Blight. You play the newest recruit. But what the game does here, that we mentioned in the Dragon Age 2 game, is that you get a unique backstory with every character you start with. You know, you can customize your character. You can have them be a human, human, elf, and dwarf. And with classes for each of them. Like, there are 3 main classes. Warrior, Rogue, which is like your thief, and Mage. Dwarves cannot use magic, but humans and elves can use all 3. Oops. But basically you have 6 origin stories to start with. There's 2 for the human, 3 for the elf, if you make your elf a mage, and 2 for the dwarf. Which, yeah, 2 for the dwarf, which actually makes... No, it's still 6 because the mage story is the mage story is still the same. Just the interactions with your character kind of change. But you're basically this new recruit for the Grey Wardens. And the main story goes like this. The Grey Wardens, in one of their battles to try and slow down the Blight, the ones in the land you live in, the ones in Ferelden, get slaughtered because somebody betrayed them. And you and the last remaining Grey Warden, whose name is Alistair, have to try and make an army, basically, in order to fight the Darkspawn. You can't recruit new Grey Wardens because that process, it's a secret in the game. But you have to make an army, and you meet a lot of interesting people along the way, which I'll get into. Now, gameplay is basically like a real-time strategy RPG. You have enemies, you can make commands to your party, to yourself, and they'll go off and do their animation. If you're a real-time strategy person, you'll like this game a lot. But for a lot of you other RPGers, like with the turn-based or the active time battle system you're used to in Final Fantasy, this might be a little slow for you, and it does take a little getting used to, because it's a system where you really have to strategize position and where to put your party, how to best implement your party, what the best armor set would be. You know, it really takes into effect how you develop your party. And you get a whole bunch of different armor sets, light and heavy. You get mage robes. You have all these different weapons: daggers, swords, maces, axes, hammers, mage staffs. And the customization in this game, the way you can make your party, is just terrific. Okay, graphics, I'm gonna say they're good for what, it's 720p, but they're good. The environment detail, I think, is fantastic. They put so much detail into this game, and the paths you take, the ways you can go about the areas you go through, they're not always going to be shown to you on the map like in Dragon Age 2. But it's all about exploration with these areas. You have to explore. And so it really allows you to take in all the atmosphere and all the detail that the game developers put into. Now the characters. These are some of the most memorable characters in any video game. You have Alistair, the Grey Warden, who was a former Templar, and he is a wise ass. He has a heart of gold, but he is the biggest wise ass you'll ever meet. He's always sarcastic. He's cracking jokes. He's always bantering with someone and being a smart ass while doing it because he loves to fight. I guess he likes to piss people off sometimes. You also have Morrigan, who's a witch from the forest, and she is just too awesome. She's my favorite character in the game. In this game, Morrigan, she can be a seductress, but then again, she can also be the biggest bitch you'll ever know of in this game. She can be a bitch. She gets really angry, and she's a very complex character. You see a bit of her story as you play this game. I'm not going to spoil any of their stories, because each character has their own side quest. You also meet other people like Leliana, who is a bard from this one place, Orlais, which is kind of like the France of this world. She's a bard, you know, she's one of those traveling singers, who's also a very deadly assassin. And then you have another assassin who uses different tactics, called Zevran. He's an elf, and he's initially hired to kill you, but you can eventually turn him around and bring him to your party, provided you don't kill him for him trying to kill you. I made him join the party because, well, I thought it would be a punishment at first, but then he turns out to be a kind of likable guy. Also, you get a whole bunch of different characters. You get the Qunari named Sten, which is actually his role, not his name, which is explained more in Dragon Age 2, but they explained some of it in Dragon Age Origins. You get a mage named Wynn. She's kind of like the sweet old lady. And you also get... Who else do you get? Oh, a dwarf. A dwarf named Oghren. He is awesome. He's voiced by Steve Blum, who voices so many people in video gaming. While I look him up, I'm just going to keep talking. All these characters, you interact with them, you find their good side, you can get on their good and bad side. They react to you differently depending on how your relationship level is with them. And, yeah, they're just so lively and so memorable. They're one of the best aspects of the gaming series. And going back to Steve Blum, he's voiced Wolverine. He's the voice of Orochimaru and Zabuza, guys. If you never knew, he is the voice of Orochimaru. And Roger Smith from Big O, Spike from Cowboy Bebop. He's been in a lot of things. He's been in a lot of video games, and he's been in a lot of anime. Mostly Roger Smith from Big O, Orochimaru from Naruto, and Spike from Cowboy Bebop. All very good animes. And Naruto's starting to get more filler and filler every day, but I like the other two. They're good. Going back on topic. Now, the way the story progresses, it actually varies, because the way your origin story starts will impact the way people react to you. Like, if you go to the city of Orzammar and you've played a dwarf, they're going to react to you depending on who you were in the origin story. Like, no, I'm not going to spoil it. And if you're an elf, people are going to react to you differently, mostly with humans, mostly with racism. There's a lot of interesting political aspects in this game. There's bigotry, there's political strife, there's a lot of discrimination in this game. That's one of the big dilemmas in this game, is discrimination. But also, yeah, the combat systems is good. The customization is good. Gameplay and graphics are obviously very good, except for the character models, which I actually think they're slightly more detailed in this game than they are in Dragon Age 2, because in Dragon Age 2 they just look so shiny, and the blood splotches, really, it looks like you just dabbed them all over your face and that's splashed. In this game it kind of looks a little splashed. At least on the PlayStation version, the graphics are pretty good. But if you are going to play this game, I would highly recommend the PC version, because you can play it out more like a real-time strategy game. You can get to your items a lot faster. But if you don't have a very good PC, or are just not a PC gamer for whatever reason, I would recommend the PlayStation version more, because not only does it have less graphical hiccups than the Xbox 360, but the textures are a lot smoother because of the type of engine that PlayStation runs. Not to say the PlayStation version is better than the Xbox. They're both the same game. It's just that a lot of the graphical details are a bit smoother and sharper on the PlayStation version than they are on the Xbox, from what I've seen of gameplay on all three systems. Now, the issues. Your character doesn't have a voice. This is made from BioWare, so you kind of expect this Mass Effect style type thing. Your character talks in combat, but it's more like action yells, like, "Ah, I lost a spell," or "Take that," or "Can I get you a ladder so you can get off my back?" You know, weird lines like that. I don't know. And also, you don't have the jump ability, but this game was made in 2009, so I forgive it. And it's an RPG, so again, I forgive it. And also, let me see, graphical problems on the console versions as opposed to the PC. Gameplay variations, it really depends. I think that's one of the few problems I have with it. But you get a lot of side quests in this game. It's almost Skyrim worthy, how many side quests there are in this game. Some good, some fetch quests, collect this kind of stuff for people, and you get money for it. You get money in this game anyway, but if you want a little extra, go ahead, do those quests. If I would rate this game, personally, I'd give it a 9. And I know Garrett said he'd give it an 8.5, and I can see why he would have that, but I give it a 9 because the overall experience, personally for me, outweighs a lot of the problems that it has. That I know it has. Like the graphical errors, sometimes the story does go nowhere at times. It seems like it's going nowhere, especially when you're doing companion quests, like loyalty missions in Mass Effect. This game is very similar to a medieval Mass Effect, and that's the overall experience you'll have with this game. I recommend it for any RPG fan, and as a gamer, I would recommend it because of the story. And so that's all the time I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, this is Joel Castro, signing off. Have a good day, guys.